The podcast you're about to hear involves true stories, which may contain graphic content that is not suitable for children. Listener's discretion is advised. This is Esoteric Oddities.
Hey guys! Did I spike your level?
Yes.
Would it be Esoteric Oddities podcast if I did not spike your levels and you told me to speak louder?
And then,
be careful what you wish for.
And then mumble when you tell your story.
I mumble?
Sometimes I just turn your levels up.
Oh wait, so is it the volume or do I mumble? Do
It's
I not
both.
speak correctly?
Yes. Sometimes. Hi guys, welcome to Esoteric Oddities. We're still working things out after 2 years.
Literally. Ouch. Okay.
No, it's not. It's because you don't use headphones either. We thought it solved the problem when she didn't wear the headphones, but it's just a lot of fluctuating loudnesses and then quietnesses. Ready?
Okay.
Okay. So I was just on Trashy that last Sunday, I think, or maybe it was Saturday. I think it was Sunday. I ended up at a Hootie and the Blowfish concert.
Yeah, what? I was confused.
I was confused as
you
well.
didn't even tell me.
I didn't know I was going until maybe 6 hours before, and tickets were $8.
Oh, I love that for
I think
you.
I bought my tickets like right before, maybe like an hour or two before they went on stage.
I love that for you.
Yeah, it was fun. And then Bare Naked Ladies were there.
Like real bare naked?
No, the band.
I know, but like you're like looking around, so I'm waiting.
That's what
for,
I'm saying.
Like,
That's what I'm saying. Like I signed up to see Bare Naked Ladies, and y'all are playing your fucking songs from the 90s. I want to see boobies. Keep your smash hits.
Did you see any?
No, I didn't see any boobs. There was a lot of sweaty, like middle-aged people who graduated in the year 1998, which is fine if you did. Like more power to you.
1990 late.
That's what I'm saying. So that's not how I saw my day going, but I ended up seeing Hootie and the Blowfish. Do you like Hootie and the Blowfish?
Blow like Hootie.
What's your favorite song?
I only wanna be with you. See, I know them.
Yeah, you do know that. That's perfect. So what did you do this week?
Oh my god, I did a lot. I went to IKEA. Oh, just so everyone knows, I got my escrow money back, so I'm a rich bitch.
Hey.
I've just been spending all of it, but it's fine.
So if you want to rob her, head on over to her house. Her window is unlocked.
Anywho, I went to IKEA and I got a new bed sheet. I got an end table and I got my hair dyed. I'm about to get my nails done tomorrow. I'm
Ooh,
like
the
a
come
real
up.
new bitch, okay?
A new bitch. Look at you, the glow
Gets money
up.
once.
Gets money once. Well, it's almost your birthday. You deserve it. I think it might be after your birthday by the time this goes up. No, this will probably go up right before
My
your
birthday is
birthday.
August 12th, so write on my wall and tell me happy birthday.
Right on my wall. Hit me on my motherfucking MySpace, bitch.
Okay, happy birthday to you.
Whore for whore, pick comment for pick comment.
What
bitch.
was whore for whore?
It was like, I'll shout you out on my bulletin if you shout me out on your bulletin.
I
and it's
hate
like,
that they call it a whore.
add what was it called? Like Johnny Jigsaw, or like add
Sarah Couture.
Sarah Couture. Well, it only works if people see it, because not a lot of people know you spell your name with a C.
Oh shit.
Sarah Couture. I
Also,
love that.
people think like my name on Instagram is Triceratops, just like because I like the dinosaur.
Which you do.
I'm like,
But also, her name is Sarah with a C. Cerra. But for those of you who, it's a perfect segue, who gave us reviews and spelled her name incorrectly, that's totally
it's
fine.
totally
We'll
fine.
accept
It happens
it.
all the time.
And thank you, guys. And if you haven't reviewed us and given us a 5-star rating, please do it. Trashy, did you rate us?
Right, I was just gonna ask.
Did you?
Which one were
Oh.
you named?
Yeah. What was it? Oh.
2 years ago.
A true fan. And we're going to actually have Trashy, if y'all don't know who she is. Wait, was the last time you were on our podcast October? Was that the first time? Was that the only time?
Yeah, that's the Skinwalker
Oh, shit.
episode.
Well, she's going to be on our bonus episode. Yeah, it was the Skinwalker Hotel. Yeah.
Skinwalker.
Skinwalker. The Skinwalker. Head on over to patreon.com/esoteric oddities if you want some bonus content, including an episode featuring Trashy, everybody's favorite piece of garbage. I'm just kidding. You're great.
Everybody's got this something.
So today's topic, I don't know where it came from. I think I saw like a
It
picture
just hit me in the face.
of somebody wearing a cowboy hat and got wetter than a sweater.
Wait.
Yes. waiting.
I have to interrupt you for a second to tell everyone what you said to me and what I thought.
The text messages?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let me preface really quick.
Okay.
So when I was texting Sarah this morning, and I don't text and drive, I use voice text and drive.
Oh,
I guess
I
that's
wasn't
the same
talking
thing.
about that. I was talking about laundry dick.
Oh, that was yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought it was this morning.
No, it was yesterday. I thought you were talking about what how my voice to text was translated.
Yeah, you were like, I'm gonna kill my wife. Like what?
No, I said I hate my wife.
Yeah, I hate my wife.
I meant I hate my life,
but this just goes to show how much like text can be like
misconstrued.
Jonathan texted me. He said he loves laundry dick. Or what did you say?
I said even after a long day of work, I still have that good laundry dick.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my god, like who's the suitor? Like, and he's like, no. It's my laundry dick.
It's me. I'm the suitor, bitch. Wait, can I read what we said this morning?
Yeah, or read it. Read it to me.
Okay, so because I didn't really read it back after I was driving. Okay, so, oh my god, I forgot about Salon Traux.
That laugh, yes, honey.
No. Oh my god, Trash, you have to listen to this. Okay, wait, where is it? Okay, there's you saying, woo, who's the contestant? I sent a question mark. You said laundry dick. Oh, wait, you have the laundry dick. Okay, so then this morning, I texted you. I said, I hope you have the best Friday. And you said, thanks, I have huevos rancheros. Oh no, I should not read that part. I'm going to skip over
Why?
The explosive diarrhea part. Okay, wait, hold on. So you were talking, Sarah's talking about how she wants to get more into food prep. So I say, I made myself sweet potato, black bean, and onion tacos with Salon Traux. I repeat, SALON space TRUAX. Salon Traux.
Like, why would they do that?
Avocado and sour cream sauce. I was dying. And then then you said cilantro, and then I said cilantro again. Oh, you said your allergies are off the wall. And I said, so are bus fees, and her dandruff is out of control.
I said, you're not wrong.
You said, you're not wrong. I said, it was supposed to say Buffy. And then I said, I'm literally about to crash my car. I hate my wife. And you said, I hate my wife. I'm dying. Maybe this was something that you had to be there for, but I think it's hilarious.
It's fucking funny. And if y'all don't, I don't know what to tell you.
I don't understand why they said Salon Traux.
With in a French way.
Yeah.
Right? That's French?
Yeah, I guess. It's like a salon. What is Traux? I don't fucking know. But
what is Traux?
What is Traux? Salon Traux. We should open a salon and call it that, except we don't know how to literally do anything.
I really don't. You see my hair right now.
You got it done yesterday.
I did, and it's some parts are still like lavender.
Lavandre. Oh, that can be our special, the Lavandre.
Lavandre.
Come on down to Salon Traux.
This girl dyed her hair with like the Halloween makeup.
Oh,
on
interesting.
YouTube, right?
I know that you can do it with Kool-Aid.
Yeah. A nice pink.
And it stays for a while. Kool-Aid dyes a lot of shit.
I'm looking at my story, and I picked the worst one because I do not know how to pronounce half of this.
Because they're French.
They're Mexican.
Oh, okay. Well, fuck. There goes my joke. Anyway, today's topic is cowboys, baby.
With the lights sun and the sunshine shining.
I want to be a cowboy, baby. Do you remember that Vine where the girl's like, country boy, I love you.
I fucking hate us. We're just talking into mics.
I know. It's so fun. We should watch those compilations later.
Let's do it. I'm definitely going to roll a blunt.
I want to be a cowboy, baby. See, if we were going to record this at my house, I was going to wear my cowboy hat and my cowboy boots. I could have, but the cowboy boots it's so freaking hot here.
It's freaking hot.
It is. And also those cowboy boots are, yeah. I don't know how the Cowboys did it. So let's just jump on into this now that you've heard us talk about irrelevant shit for 10 minutes straight. What was I going to say? Oh, I think I am up to bat first. Now, this is a little bit... This is a little bit different than something we've ever done before. At least my story is. I can't really speak for you, but mine's kind of just like a story about somebody's life and all
Yeah,
the
it's
fucked
like
up
a
shit
history
that
lesson,
happened.
basically.
Yeah. So I started
an
reading this
autobiography.
and I was like, wow, this is actually really fucked up. So I actually went on down to me local library with my library card.
You're cute.
Because having fun isn't hard when you've got a library card. That's from Arthur, at least I think so. So I got the book that he wrote. However, I think a lot of it is, how you say,
Bullshit.
fucking lies.
How you say fucking lies.
So I kind of had to go on the internet. I have to say Wikipedia definitely did like a solid on fact checking.
Use Wikipedia.
I sure did. Yes.
I've been avoiding that like the plague because I thought we weren't allowed.
You're allowed to. This isn't your university. I mean, I think Wikipedia is a solid source of sources, right? I don't know. But I know that this dude, the autobiography he wrote, I don't know how fucking trusting I can be of this dude considering the fact that he is a Western outlaw. But I guess I should start. And this is the story of John Weseley Hardin. Not hard on.
Not pardon me.
Or hard on you. So he actually went by more commonly the name Wes. So that's what I'm going to call him because we're close like that. So, okay. I just wrote a little note there to make sure that I said what I already said, but I already said it. So we're just going to scroll past that.
Sweetie.
Thank you. I wish my beer was closer to me, but that's okay. I'll just let it sit over there. If somebody over there wanted to... No, I'm totally kidding. No, you don't need to get up. You're not even wearing pants. Get your butt out of here. Oh, God.
Enough
this is
movement.
not...
Charlie's going to get up.
Born May 26th, 1853 near Bonham, Texas. His father was a lawyer and a preacher, and the father's name was James Gibson Hardin. Wes was raised in a very strict religious household, and he was actually named after John Wesley, who is apparently the founder of the Messiest, I'll tell you that, the Messiest podcast on the block right here.
Okay.
Esoteric Oddities. 5 stars, please. The Methodist, denomination of the Christian church. He was close to his mother, and a midwife who delivered him allegedly said he would either be a hero or a villain. And then he ended up having 7 brothers and sisters because people liked to pop a lot of babies out back then.
They sure did.
They sure did. So Wes's father traveled over much of central Texas, which is where a lot of this is going to be taking place because he was preaching and he had a circuit there. And then the family settled in Sumter, Trinity County, Texas in 1859. What year does yours take place? Like the 1800s, probably?
1890s.
Oh, I love that. You're not a real 90s kid, unless you remember. At Sumter, Texas, Joseph Hardin, his father, established and taught at a school that Wes and his siblings attended. So Wes was a child of nature. He loved to be in the forest, in the open fields, and hunt with his dogs. He liked to kill deer, coons, and possum. You could do pew 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 pew.
Boo, boo, boo.
So in 1859, the way I wrote my notes is like bullet points. So I'm just going to try to do this as smoothly as possible.
That.
So in 1859, his father started a school in Sumter. And there were disciplinarian problems there, surprisingly, because his father was really strict. But apparently when it came to like a school and other kids, he wasn't that great at it. But he was pretty much like the head whatever at that school. So then in 1861, at age 8, let me remind you how young he is when this shit's going on. He's 8 years old. He witnessed a drunken knife fight where a man was murdered. So he thinks that that was the first time that he at least can remember where he saw somebody die in front of him or at least get murdered over a fight.
This is cool.
Right. So according to Wes, quote, our parents had taught us from our infancy to be honest, truthful, and brave. And we were taught that no brave boy would let another call him a liar without impunity. And truer words have never been said, Wes. Truer words have never been said. So naturally, Wes ended up in a lot of schoolyard fights with other boys. He would end up with a bloody nose, a scratched face, a black eye, but he would always come out on top as the winner. In 1962, 2 of his uncles died fighting in the Confederate Army.
Boo.
So, but this is where I think it's important to note, because then when this happened, it was kind of a catalyst. He planned to run off and join the Confederate Army with his cousin. He was 9 years old. But I think this is where a lot of this shit like really stemmed from. And I'll talk a little bit about that more. So at 14... when he was 14 years old at his father's school, a fellow classmate named Charles Slaughter accused Wes of harassing a girl and writing a derogatory poem about her on the schoolhouse wall. I wonder what it said.
Right?
It was probably like, Roseanne likes dicks.
Cox.
Yeah, Cox. I like that. I really do. So Wes then accused Charles of actually doing it. And Charles walked up to Wes, who was actually sitting at his desk. And this Charles dude fucking hit him. And then the Charles dude pulled out his fucking knife. So what does Wes do? Wes stands up and he pulls out his knife and he's like, what you want to do, bitch? You want to fucking come at me? They're 14 at this point. And Wes ends up fucking stabbing Charles twice.
Ooh.
And the wounds almost killed this dude. He had been near fatally stabbed in the breast and the back. This high school man got a lot of backstabbers. Cue the laughter.
You're not wrong.
Thank you so much. I love you for that. So people wanted Wes not only expelled, but people wanted him hung for his crime. I'm going to remind you, he's at his father's school and he was 14 years old. But because Charles had initiated the fight, and because of the fact that Wes's father again ran the school, Wes Hardin wasn't punished severely at all. He wasn't even taken to court because, remember, his father was a preacher, but he was also a fucking lawyer. He kind of like did it all. And Wes was acquitted of all of his charges. So Charles, the dude who got stabbed, ended up surviving. However, he ended up getting hung by a mob who got in a fight with him.
Oh shit.
These kids are like 14 out here in the streets, like raising hell the fuck.
Where are they from again?
Texas. Okay.
That makes a lot of sense.
All my exes live in Texas.
Okay.
Cats and bubble wrap. Hi, kitty. Okay, so just to put you in that time frame again, to kind of like put you there, a little history lesson from Professor Carson. That sounds hot. I would be a hot professor, do you think?
Professor Carson?
Can I see you after class? Before the Civil War, they weren't having to pay slaves for their work, right?
Oh.
Stupid shit, right? After the Civil War, they had to pay their workers, and then the country, especially kind of Texas, had fell into a slight societal depression, which caused a lot of violence and resilience. This is obviously, I'm glossing over this briefly, but he was very protective of the Confederate state at a young age. He actually ended up later in life killing a man for talking bad about his state, which totally reminded me of that episode of SpongeBob where they're like, can we shoes from Texas are dumb? And she's like pissed about it. Yeah,
right.
It could be because Sandy Cheeks was a Confederate racist bitch. Heard it here first.
She was?
I don't know. I'm just saying it. I'm saying things that aren't factual, calling people racist because this is the internet. Wes himself actually ended up viewing Lincoln as an awful man who caused all of these wars. And then the Civil War ended in 1865. So by November 1868, Wes was 15 years old, and he had challenged his uncle's former slave, Major Holshausen, who went by the name Madge, to a wrestling match. So they wrestled, and Wes ended up winning. And according to him, the following day, Madge, quote unquote, ambushed him as he rode past him, shouting at him, waving a stick. So what did he do? Naturally, as the Confederate racist, dumbass teenager he was, Wes drew his revolver and shot Madge 5 times.
5 times?
Yeah, for running at him with a stick. So Madge survived the initial shooting, but died 3 days later. So then Wes's father, James, who again was a preacher and a lawyer, remember, he was like, yo, Wes, you're not going to get a fucking fair hearing here because of the death of this former slave that you killed, because it was a Union occupied state where more than a third of the state police were former slaves. So instead of, reprimanding his son and trying to teach him how to do right things, he was like, yo, you know what you should do? You should, lay low in hiding so they don't find you and you'll still be a free racist piece of shit. So Wes is like, yeah, okay, Dad, good idea. Again, he's 15. And authorities eventually found out his location. So somehow Wes's brother Joseph caught wind of this. And Joseph was like, yo, Wes, authorities are onto you. They're sending people to arrest you. But instead of running, 15-year-old Wes was like, I'm going to choose to, quote, confront my pursuers, end quote. So like Joseph, his brother warned, there were 3 Union soldiers that were sent to arrest him. And Wes ambushed them with a double-barrel shotgun and a cap and an 8-ball 6-shooter. I'm sorry, and a ball 6-shooter. I'm used to saying 8 balls because of cocaine. I'm a party girl.
Because of cocaine.
So now John Weseley Hardin has killed his 2nd, 3rd, and 4th victims at the age of 15. Again, as a reminder, these were not random killings. There was a former slave and 3 Union workers were the ones he first killed. So very Confederate. He was, these were like political and an honor for his Southern Confederate state. Just keep that in mind. And now Wes knew he couldn't return home. So he put on his cowboy hat and he was now a fugitive of the law.
I'm on the run.
I'm on the run, ma. So he traveled initially with another outlaw whose name was Frank Polk. Just say around this time, he's about 16 now, 16 years old. I was driving a car. What were you doing? And they traveled to Navarro County, Texas. And while they were traveling, Frank ended up killing a man, and soldiers were sent to pursue both Frank and Wes. Upon the arrest, Wes actually escaped. Frank got jailed. What are you gonna do? Then, riddle me this. Wes ended up briefly teaching at a school in Navarro County.
Navarro.
He was 16 years old, and he taught a class of 25 children that ranged in age from 6 to 16. And he taught there for about 3 months before anybody knew he was a murderer on the run. And while he was there, he actually had the idea to become a cowboy like some of his cousins. He's like,
I want to be a cowboy like your cousins.
I want to be a cowboy, baby. So he learned how to play poker and 7-Up and quickly became
7-Up, like the thumb game?
I don't think so.
Oh.
But he'd probably be really good at that. Heads up, 7-Up, baby. Did you cheat at that game?
No.
I heard that was a thing that teachers would do. They would play that game to see what kids were most likely to cheat, and then they would keep an eye on them during the tests. Because you know how you could look at people's shoes? So they would, you over there. I see you little shit.
She cheated.
Would you look at people's shoes?
She said, fuck yeah.
How would you cheat in Heads Up 7-Up? Yeah, well, no, because you would put your head down and you could look at your shoes. Oh, you would do a little sneaky peek.
I didn't like that. The challenge was to like figure it out.
Figure out who gently touched you on the shoulder. And I always wished it, I'm going to stop. I'll stop myself. Where was I? He learned how to play poker and 7-Up and quickly became one of the best players in town. He claimed he shot a man's eye out to win a bottle of whiskey in a bet. As you fucking do. So around this time, Wes met up with his racist KKK-membered 18-year-old cousin, Simp Dixon.
Simp Dixon.
Dixon.
Simp Dixon.
It reminds me of Shrimp Dick, which he probably had. So in Wes's own words, Simp was one of the most dangerous men in Texas. So Simp's sister, brother, and sister were all tortured, quote unquote, tortured and killed by the U.S. soldiers because of their loyalty to the Confederate. So Simp promised to kill every U.S. soldier he saw until the day that he died. So this was kind of put to the test when they encountered a few soldiers in passing, just randomly, as you do at the Quickie Mart, at the 7-Eleven, whatever you're doing, stopping by Wawa, grabbing gas, and there's these soldiers. So according to Wes, the fight was free and fast. Simp had shot and killed one soldier while Wes shot and killed another. Shortly after that fight, almost a year later, the 19-year-old Simp was killed by a squad of U.S. soldiers in a cotton gin in Limestone County. So this is kind of like his family and who he was like surrounding himself with was like racist pieces of shit who just went out.
He's a racist piece of shit.
Right. And like we're just killing people and they're like, bada bing, bada boom, gotta do what I do. You want to play poker? I could teach you. I'm 16.
I was like saying
16 and teaching.
I got my shrimp dick cousin with me.
Rest in peace.
Not R.I.P. Rest in fucking... Horse shit.
Okay, I like the passion there. So in the fall of 1869, Wes's brother Joe convinced him to leave Navarro County, and they ended up traveling 8 miles to their Uncle Barnett's place, Uncle Barnett Hardin, so it was one of his his dad's brothers, I'm sorry. And there he lived with his cousins. So a man named John Collins ended up marrying one of Wes's cousins, and in turn, Collins and West formed a partnership. On Christmas Day, 1869, Wes and Collins went to play. Also, I'm just going to say, a lot of people are in and out of his life, but nobody's really here for a long time. So don't get too attached to these characters, okay? I'm just going to say that. And also, there's
I'm not attached to any of these pieces of shit.
Just pay attention to if I say they're his friend, if I say they're a sheriff, or if I say they're his cousin. That's pretty much all you got to remember.
Shrimp dick.
Shrimp dick. He already died. Like I was saying, we're on Christmas Day of 1869. They are playing poker. Him and Wes and Collins, who actually had married his cousin, they're playing poker with 3 other men, one of which was James Bradley. Now, I read 2 different sources, and they gave him a different name. One said Jim Bradley, and the other one said Benjamin Bradley. So we're just
Which one is it?
We're just going to call him Bradley.
Jimberman.
I like that.
Jimberman.
I like that. That's cute. It's almost as good as, oh my God, my foot's asleep. You're giving me the pins and needles in my secret spot. Ew. By midnight, Wes had won all the money, and he claimed his coins and went to leave when our good old friend Bradley pulled out a knife and charged at Wes. So at this point, Wes's gun was actually in the corner of his room. For some reason, he took his boots off, and his boots and his gun were in the corner. I think that might have been protocol.
Like where you keep your gun?
I don't know, I guess.
Keep your gun in the corner.
And I'm also assuming that they were all drinking. So,
wait, don't you remember those like old time pictures and there was always a gun in the corner?
Is that a thing?
Yeah. Like any picture that I'd see in my history book.
There was a gun in the corner?
They'd be in the corner.
Maybe.
Spooky.
But I feel like if you're going to go gamble with a bunch of people you don't know, I feel like wouldn't you just keep one on you for good measure? Anyway.
Well, they'd be like shotguns.
Oh, yeah, I guess you can't really keep that on you. Well, his wasn't a shotgun. His was like a pistol. So like I said, this dude charges at Wes. Wes doesn't have his gun, so Collins gets in between, essentially saving Wes from being stabbed to death. So Wes escapes out the front door unarmed, but later that night, Bradley came a-looking for him. What Bradley didn't know was that Wes had altered his clothes. Yes, we love a Thumbelina. He really had his shit together. He was like, I got my sewing kit. I'm going to alter my clothes, bitch.
And no one's going to know who I am.
My bedazzle. No, that's not what he was altering his clothes.
Oh.
You thought it was like a disguise?
Yes.
Go away.
What is that?
Out of here.
Something in disguise.
The master of disguise?
Yeah.
Turtle.
Uh-huh.
I'm suing you for being stupid. So what Bradley didn't know was that Wes had altered his clothes to make carrying his favorite guns easier. So essentially what he was doing when he altered his clothes was he had sewn holsters into his vest where the butts of the pistol would be pointing towards his chest. So hang on, I have to show you. You know how in like demonstration time, this is great for everybody who's listening. You know how if you like cross your arms like kind of under your armpits, and then you'd be able to draw. Yeah, but nobody was really doing that back then. So because everybody had a normal holster. Yeah. So he was like, that's the fastest way. You can have 2 guns in your chest, in your holster, cross your arms, and then pull them out. Put them on. Give me a lunch money, kid. Does that sound like a cowboy?
Put them up.
I sound like a cowboy.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you for your support. Oh my God, I love this crowd. So again, he said that he tested and proved that this was like basically the fastest way to fucking do that. So he would also practice that motion every day. So that night after the card game, what? Can you see him like in his room?
Yes, in a mirror with a white suit.
Put him
up.
So stupid. Bradley found Wes, and when he did, he fired at him, but he missed, to which Wes responded by drawing both his pistols.
From his armpits?
Yes, and returning fire, one striking Bradley in the head and the other one in the chest. And there were like dozens of people who saw this, and everybody was like, oh my God, this like 16-year-old kid just fucking killed this adult man in like one real quick swift, and nobody had really seen like a draw like that. What was that movie with, Leonardo DiCaprio? Quick Draw McGraw. What is that? The Quick and the Dead. Definitely cried during that movie. Have you seen it?
Nope, I have not.
Trashy, have you seen that? Oh my God, we should watch that later. So one of the other men who was in the poker game that night mysteriously vanished without a trace. So nobody knows what happened to him. A lot of people like suspect that this fucking 16-year-old Wes went after him or something. But again, nobody really knows what happened to him. So the next week, Wes received a letter from his father saying the soldiers were hot after him. Remember, he's still on the run. Yeah. He's like a wanted man, and he's
man
16.
on the run. What
I'm
is
saying,
it?
man on the run. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I love that Christina Aguilera song. So he was like, dude, you need to move ASAP. So then Wes was like, dude, Pops, you're so right. So he moved to Pisgah. I don't know if it's Pisgah or Pishka, but I'm going to call it Pisgah. And if that pisses you off, lick my butthole. So Pisgah, Texas, which was 25 miles away from his new home in Pisgah, Texas, was a circus. And it was in a town called Horn Hill, Texas. So on January 20th, 1870, Wes goes to see the circus, and it's all honky-dory. And then that night, for some reason, Wes ends up hanging out with the circus men. I picture them all being clowns. They kept referring to them as circus men, but like maybe
they were clowns.
I just want to picture them as clowns. So around 10 p.m., there was a bunch of circus men and Wes. They were chilling by this big-ass bonfire. And of course, one of the circus men or clowns was lighting his pipe when Wes accidentally bumped into him. Ooh. Which Wes was like, oh shit, I'm so sorry. He assured the dude that it was an accident. And then the circus man swore to, quote, bash his nose, end quote.
Nose. Which
would be extra hilarious if it was a clown and he had like a fucking bread nose.
Yeah, like, no.
So clearly they're hot and heated, and then they started making out.
I love that.
No, they didn't do that. I'm kidding.
I know.
Why does like a cowboy and clown fantasy make me horny?
Wow.
Is that weird?
No, you're fine.
We're discovering things.
That's great.
Oh my God.
It's the year of realizing things.
It's the year of it. Wouldn't that be cool though? Like to, no? Okay. So anyway.
I mean, we could totally make that happen.
Oh, let's do it. So Wes was like, you're a fighter. I'm a fighter. Let's do this, bozo. So the circus man punched Wes in the face. And then Wes fucking punched him back in the face. And I can only imagine if it was a clown, he had like a little honking noise when he
literally
punches him in the nose. So the circus dude pulls out his gun, and obviously Wes is going to do the same. Well, Wes shot first, and he said, quote, he fell with a 45 ball through his head, end quote. Yikes. And then he hopped on.
Cowboy in the day, clown by night.
Clown killer by night. And he hopped on his horse and he rode off 25 miles back to Pisgah. So basically he went to the circus, had a good time,
killed somebody and left.
Killed a clown and then fucking darted the fuck out of there. So less than a week after this incident, Wes found himself a sex worker to twiddle his little twang. And he was walking her outside when they were accosted by her pimp, who demanded money from Wes. So Wes was like, you want your money?
Here's your money.
Throws it on the floor. That's from Goosebumps, if you didn't know. Throws it on the floor. I'm sorry, the ground. I hate when people call the ground outside the floor.
Me too. I'm like, it's not the fucking
yourself.
Floor. It's the ground.
It's not the floor. It hasn't been the floor since Little House on the Prairie, bitch. It's the ground. So Wes threw the money on the ground, and when the pimp went to go pick it up, Wes fucking shot him in the head.
Oh,
took his money back and then left.
Oh, okay.
That's some Grand Theft Auto shit. So after this situation, Wes is like, oh shit, I've been like up to no good. I should probably do something because I'm 17, bitch. No, he's 16 at this point.
Wow.
All this has happened and he's 16.
What a badass.
I'm saying, I was barely driving at 16. I think I was stealing things from the Dollar General because I was too scared to steal things from Target. So he decided to spend some time farming with his uncle and his cousin, but he lost interest real quick because fuck, I would too. And then in August of 1870, he traveled to Mount Calm.
Oh, wow.
Which was fucking calm until he got there, bitch.
Right, okay.
Where his father was actually teaching a school, so he ended up taking classes. And this is where I'm so confused because it was both in his book and it was on the wikipedia.org. He had already taught a class earlier when he was 16, and now he ends up taking classes, passing his diploma examination and graduating with his brother Joe, like graduating high school, but even though he had already been a teacher.
Right.
I guess they just let anybody teach these days. So Joe went on to become a lawyer, his brother, and then Wes continued to be an outlaw. He's like, I got my education, but I'm an outlaw. I'm an outlaw, Dad. So then in January 1871, when Wes was 17 years old, he was arrested for the murder of the Waco, Texas city marshal.
You know I love Waco, Texas.
I know. It comes up a lot.
Because of Joan and Chip.
But you told me that you hate Waco, Texas because we kept talking about it.
I just hate how much it comes up.
It really does come up a lot. Anyway, he killed this Texas city marshal in a barber shop. However, he denied having committed this crime, which I found interesting.
I didn't do it.
Because he was really trying to get his numbers up, and I think a lot of the killings he said he did, he actually didn't do. And for killing a Texas city marshal, that would be like a big deal. But he swore back then, and then he swore in his autobiography that he didn't kill this man. I don't know, maybe he killed him and then said, oh shit, it's a Texas marshal and I'm out it. I'm like a wanted man. Oh shit.
I can't do that.
Reverse.
Doo.
2 hops this time.
Doo.
So following his arrest, Wes was held temporarily in a log jail in the town of Marshall, awaiting to be transferred to Waco for trial. So somehow, Wes managed to purchase a Colt 45 with 4 barrels loaded from another prisoner while locked up. Like, they really didn't give a fuck back then. So he purchased the pistol with $40 in gold and a $25 overcoat. Probably went to H&M. So 2 Texas state policemen were assigned to escort Wes Hardin to Waco for the trial. Are you ready for this? So according to Wes, the policeman tied him to bareback to a horse with no saddle for the trip, which was going to be 225 miles, bitch. Bareback on a horse. Are you kidding me?
Oh, God.
Yeah, I feel it in my crotch. Could just be a flare-up that I got going on. I should probably see a doctor about that. Just kidding. I'm kidding. You nasty. Also going to say, at this point, it was snowy and cold somehow in Waco, Texas. They were saying that.
What?
I don't fucking know. I don't know.
Not snow there?
But he didn't have his overcoat. He sold that shit for his fucking gun, which he hasn't used yet. Nobody knows he has it on him. So they were traveling for a while, and this was going to obviously be a multi-day trip because they're walking by horse, and it's 200 and however many miles I said it was. So the officers were making camp along the way. So one of the officers was getting food for the horses while the other officer stood there, and the one who was standing there was like, you little piece of shit, wait till we get you. We're really going to give it to you in Waco. So Wes, he kind of like hid behind a big fucking horse.
What a bitch.
He pretended he was crying, but he wasn't. He fucking whipped out his pistol and he shot the officer dead, stole the horse he was hiding behind, and rode back to Mount Calm to spend the night at his father's house. Okay. So then around February of 1871, again, he's 17 years old, he left his father's home bound for Mexico. This dude is all over the place. Do you need like...
Do you need help?
Yeah. On his way, he was stopped by men who were calling themselves police, who arrested him. So I'm not sure if these people were like, if they were officially like sheriffs or something, but in many places that I checked, they said that these men called themselves police. So I don't quite know what's the story there. So these so-called men, there were 3 of them. They threw him in a temporary cell. They threw him in a temporary cell. And then the policemen started drinking whiskey together. So after a few hours, the men were pretty fucking drunk. Again, these drunk police officers basically fell asleep, and Wes took advantage of the situation. He managed to escape and killed each passed out officer with their own guns. That's some petty shit. After his escape, he ended up sleeping in a stranger's cellar one night. Can you imagine that? Just like not knowing that there's a fucking...
It's gonna take a load off.
Yeah, but there's like a murderer sleeping in your cellar and you don't even know.
Right,
like
remember that one story I told about someone sleeping in that person's attic?
That's scary. I hate that. I don't want to talk about it. It's scary. So Wes ended up hiding in the vicinity of Pilgrim, Texas. And then he made his way further south where he found refuge with his cousins. So their last name is Clements, and they kind of had some significance back then. So I'm just going to call his cousins the Clements. You'll figure it out.
The Clements.
So his older cousins and his aunt and uncle suggested that he made money by driving cattle to Kansas as a cowboy, baby. So to me, it sounded like his older cousins and his aunt and uncle saw him doing bad things. And they were like, hey, why don't you fucking not? But they were trying to tell him what to do, but he like wouldn't hear it.
Listen.
But they like convinced him in a way that wasn't like, why don't you not do it? They were like, why don't you go and make a bunch of money so then you have more money to like kill people with, essentially. Well, they didn't say that, but that's kind of like what they're playing.
So you're egging him on.
No, they're trying to keep him out of trouble. because he's basically just like a bandit on the run.
Isn't this the cousins that are a part of the KKK?
No, this is the Clements.
KKK.
However, they are like Confederates, so essentially. Yeah.
Or might as well, yeah.
So he's like, okay, yeah, why don't I fucking do that? So while he's like getting the cattle together for the trip to Texas, there's this man named Bob King who attempted to cut a beef cow out of the herd. Wes was like, yo, fucking stop it, man. That's my fucking beef cow. And Bob King was like, fuck you. I want this cow. It's mine now. So Wes hit the man over the head with his pistol. This is the thing. He was like the pistol whip king.
Yeah, it seems like
That was like his favorite fucking thing to do. If he wasn't shooting you, he was fucking pistol whipping you in the fucking back of the head or the face. So some months later, Wes was playing 3-card Monte with 3 Mexican men. Do you know how to play 3-card Monte?
Nope.
We should play cards later.
I don't have cards.
No, you have cards. I brought you that hot pink deck of cards like years ago. Did you lose those? Those were my first pair of cards when I decided to start my career as a magician at 7 years old.
They're probably downstairs.
So they're playing this game. It is with 3 Mexican men. So an argument broke out and Wes ended up, again, pistol whipping one man, shooting one man in the arm, and shooting a third man in the chest, puncturing his lung. Wes later stated, get this, quote, "We all went back to camp and laughed about the matter before we broke the game up for good." End quote. You fucking shot a man through the lung.
And you're literally saying it's a game.
And had a good time. And they were like, you know what? We should probably call it quits. Why don't we go on to bed, guys? Like,
help them.
Wicked, what? So while driving his cattle down a trail that's unpronounceable in the summer of 1871, Wes was trucking away, being a cowboy as you do. So towards the end of the drive, a Mexican herd of cattle started to crowd in behind Wes. So he's doing his thing, and then there's this big like bunch of cows behind him, and that herd was actually being led by a Mexican cowboy, and the herds got so close that a few of the cows started to like interchange in the groups, which is like a big no-no. So essentially Wes was having trouble keeping the 2 herds apart. So he was like yelling to the Mexican dude. He was like, yo, your cows are touching my cows. I don't like my food touching. Like, can we just respect each other's space here?
Right.
Can you fucking fall back? Well, the Mexican, I'm sure it wasn't that nice because he was a racist piece of shit. So the Mexican cowboy, he said something that set him off. So the Mexican cowboy actually fucking fired a gun at Wes that almost killed him and went through his cowboy hat. Suspenseful. So then Wes reached for his own weapon, which was his trusty old rusty pistol, but it wouldn't fire because of a loose cylinder. So he hopped off his fucking horse. He hopped off his fucking high horse, and he managed to discharge the gun by literally holding it with his hand, holding the cylinder with his hand, and then pulling the trigger with the other one, which this podcast, y'all, does not recommend. Very dangerous.
Wait, what?
Yeah, because the cylinder was loose. So if he pulled it, it wasn't like shooting the bullet out. So he literally held it with his hand. He held the cylinder with his hand. Are you getting... It just looks like I'm giving a hand job.
No, I know what you mean.
Okay.
Like basically, he put his fucking hand in front of the gun.
No, not in front of it, on the top of it, but like where the kickback is, where there's like a little.
Oh.
Sorry. Anyway, those rancheros, which you had for breakfast.
You did. It made me bloated.
He shot the Mexican cowboy in the fucking thigh. The Mexican cowboy falls off the horse, but somehow stuck his landing. And then the dudes are like, you know what? Let's not fight about this. We've got issues going on. The ice caps are melting. Why don't we call it truce? Shake on it. Maybe I'll buy you a pint. And
a pint
maybe
there,
not.
boyo.
A cowboy. That's my cowboy accent. Shit. And they say girls are dramatic. But despite their truce, Wes borrowed a pistol from his friend, went out looking for the Mexican cowboy, fucking found the dude. Wes aimed and fired, shooting the man straight through the motherfucking forehead, bitch. He said,
where's
truce,
his pistol?
Magoose. Well, the dude didn't see it coming.
Oh.
He went, his pistol was fucking rusty as fuck. And he was like, well, if I'm... Right? Smells the armpits.
What he does.
And this is where he earned the nickname Little Arkansas.
Why?
Because he was in
from
Arkansas.
Texas.
He is, but he was in Arkansas when this happened.
Little Arkansas.
So then, while passing by on his horse, a Native American tried to shoot an arrow at him near the South Canadian River. And in his white privilege cowboy retaliation, Wes shot him and then buried his body to avoid any retribution from the man's tribe. So then a few days later, while meandering through not his territory, a man on a he was on a horse. And he was in Kansas, and there were a few Native Americans who stopped him and wanted to collect tax on the cattle he had.
These
he was like,
Neanderthals.
He was like, well, fuck your taxes. And he hit one of the men over the head, pistol whipping, as he does. And after the man allegedly attempted to take his silver bridle for collateral, he was like, fuck you, I'm going to bash you in the head with this. And then the other Native Americans killed one of his cows in his herd. So Wes whipped out his gun and fucking shot the men dead. So essentially, he's just going around fucking killing people. Okay, so then I'm gonna kind of brush over a couple things. He kills this anti-Texan man because he didn't like Texas. He on July 4th, 1871, he kills this other dude. No, he kills two other dudes. Anyway, then there's the Bull's Head Tavern incident. So the Bull's Head Tavern was owned by two men, and they painted a picture of a bull with a very large erect penis on the side of their establishment because they were like, haha, shock value. It's gonna get people to come in here. Honestly, nothing reels me in quite like a big old erect bull dick.
Love that for you.
That wasn't sarcasm, that was factual.
I'm
so
sure.
Many people in the town complained to the town marshal, Wild Bill, who's going to become important. So Wild Bill, he was the town marshal, and he was like, well, let me see what I can do. My name's Town Marshal Wild Bill. I can go talk to these two men who own said establishment. So he goes and he talks to the bar owners, and they're just like, no, we're not going to fucking do it. We're not going to change. We like the fucking big old dick on the side of our bar. So when they refused, Wild Bill painted over it himself. So he was like, the two bar owners were fucking infuriated and pissed and shit. And the bar owners were friends with Wes, and they told Wes, they were like, I fucking hate that man. He's a damn Yankee. He picks on rebels, especially Texans. He's probably going to want to kill you. He's not going to like you that much. So Wes, who actually was going under the name Wesley Clemens at this time, aka Lil Arkansas. I'm so mad at how I spelled Arkansas. You know I put a W at the end.
Arkansas.
No, I put a W at the end because I'm a fucking
Arkansas.
dumbass. I love it. Trash. You look so like shocked like I did that. Like, oh my God, I can't believe you. Shut the fuck up. So Wes actually had respect for Wild Bill, and later that night, Wes was confronted by Wild Bill, who was like, yo, you're wearing guns. That's a violation of my said town ordinance. And he ordered Wes to hand my town ordinance, and he ordered Wes to hand over his guns. So Wes reached down to pick up his revolvers. Here, I'm going to demonstrate kind of what he did. This is going to be like my phone. No, I need something that's shaped like a gun. Do you have a gun?
No.
Here, give me that nail polish remover. It's just as dangerous. I'm not kidding. Have you ever spilled? I damaged my entire dresser because of nail polish remover. I put it in a cup to get my acrylic nails off. You guys listening to this, do not put it in a plastic cup. So, okay, this is going to be like the end of the gun where you're like, pew, pew, right? Okay. So this is how he hands it to him.
Isn't this a front?
No. Well, yes. But this is how he hands it to the marshal, who's like, hand over your guns. And he's just like, okay, go to take it.
Wow, look
so
at
he did,
him.
yeah, right. So for those of you who didn't see that, who's literally everybody, he went to hand him the butt of the thing. You know how you're supposed to hand somebody scissors? That's how they teach you, is like hand somebody the
literal child.
Yeah, so they were like, he was handing him the butt of it, and when Wild Bill went to go reach for it, he fucking did the old finger trick where you do the fingery do and you switch it to do. Yeah, he did the old switcheroo, Mary-Kate and Ashley style, and Wild Bill was staring right into the barrels. Yes, he was. So then they got quiet, and then both men started laughing and backed down. So this whole time, what Wild Bill didn't know was that he was actually talking to John Weseley Hardin, who had like a warrant out for, not even a warrant out for his arrest. He was like, he was a wanted man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and he didn't know that this was who it was. So in my humble onion, Wes wasn't doing such a hot job. If you know that you're a fucking wanted man, you don't fucking do the old Mary-Kate and Ashley switchery do with the gun. Town marshal.
Yeah.
Yeah. You abide by the city ordinance, which he's not doing. You're a fucking bandit on the run. So Wes actually ended up they were kind of tight. Wes and Wild Bill here. I don't know how tight they were, but it was like a little questionable. So around August of 1871, again, he's 17 fucking years old. Wild Bill allowed him to carry his pistol into town, which is something he never let anybody else do.
Wait, didn't he kill him?
No. He pulled the gun on him. He spun it around. Then they looked at each other and they had a good laugh about it. He was like, see how quick I am? I could fuck your shit up.
Oh, so it was like, I like you.
Yeah, I like you.
You tight.
I'm going to keep you real close to me.
Okay.
You 17-year-old boy. Come here. Like, it's fucking weird, right? Homo. We were all thinking it. So Wes admitted that he was fascinated and he loved being with Wild Bill because Wild Bill was reveled and, you know, he wanted to be seen on intimate terms with such a celebrated gunfighter. What does intimate terms mean? I don't quite know.
I don't know.
So again, they got close, real close, to the point where Wes's cousin actually ended up being in jail for killing 2 cowboys, and Wes convinced Wild Bill to use his position as town marshal to arrange for his cousin's escape, and he totally fucking did. Like, I can't get a man to text me back, and Wes is out here fucking, he's
Using
an outlaw,
people.
and he's got people, right?
I'm an outlaw. I just keep singing
Yeah,
shit.
you do. You certainly
Have
do.
you ever heard that song?
No. So afterwards, on August 6th, 1871, Wes, his cousin Gip Clements, good old Gippy Clements. Am I right?
Yep, Clemens.
God.
Gimp Clemens.
So this is like, this part of the story is a big deal. So, and they had a rancher friend whose name was Charles Cougar. They all checked into the American the American House Hotel after an evening of gambling. So Clements and Wes shared one room and Cougar was in the adjacent room. So just going to mention, all 3 had been drinking heavily. And in the middle of the night, Wes was awakened by loud snoring coming from Cougar's room. He first shouted several times for the man to roll over, but the snoring continued. So Wes, who was still very drunk, you want to guess what he did?
Tell me.
He fired several bullets through the shared wall in the hotel in an effort to wake Cougar up.
What an idiot.
Well, the snoring stopped because Cougar was hit in the head by the second bullet and was killed instantly.
Wow.
So I feel like there's probably a better way to fucking wake somebody up. Like, I don't know, knocking on the door. Why don't you knock on the door? Why don't you yell a little bit louder? Why don't you text him? I also think maybe you didn't text him because they didn't have phones back then, but I feel like everything was really fucking heavy and probably made out of lead and asbestos back then. Why didn't you fucking throw a lamp at his door?
Okay.
Literally, a bottle of sarsaparilla, anything you had back then.
Sarsaparilla.
But you had to shoot him through the fucking door. Also, my brother snores, and I'm not gonna lie, like, there was one time we were on a skiing trip together and I had to share a hotel room with my brother, and I thought about the consequences of what it would be like to be like an only child and just really smother my brother because the snoring was so fucking loud. He also has like sleep apnea and snoring problems. Chris, if you're listening to this, like, I'm not airing out your problems, but
sleep
fucking
apnea.
take care of that shit.
My brother has sleep apnea.
I sleep on the couch to not listen to him snore if we're like
Oh, fuck no.
somewhere where we're like, yeah, no, it's bad. It's bad. But I would never shoot you through the wall, but you better watch out. So although Wes may have not intended to kill Charles Cougar, he broke the law by firing a gun within city limits. So he was half naked and still drunk. So him and his cousin jumped out the second story window onto the roof of the hotel. Down below, they see who else but Wild Bill arrive with 4 policemen. And then Wes would later state that if Wild Bill found out it was him, he would be like, sorry, dude, I have a reputation I have to carry, and he would shoot him dead.
You're a bad guy.
He would shoot him dead. So he jumped out. He hid in a haystack for the rest of the night, which has to be so uncomfortable. Like, being an outlaw is so much fucking work. You could literally lay in a bed if you just didn't have everybody out looking for you. I have anxiety. I can't sleep. I can't sleep on a...
There's someone behind me.
Right? I can't sleep on a fucking haystack with my anxiety. That's a nightmare for me.
I couldn't even sit on that fucking hay on the hayride.
Right? We did it anyway. I got some in my cooter.
Yeah, that hurt.
I did. Don't get hay in your cooter. It's not good, you guys. So the cousins jumped from the roof and I already said that. And then they stole a horse and went to a cow camp 35 miles away. I went to cow camp.
Stop.
It was a fat camp.
I know what you mean.
So there was bungee soccer involved.
Anything to get you moving.
Even if it's... Fuck off. Oh, God. I still have issues. So while at cow camp, Wes was ambushed by 2 deputies. For some reason, he didn't kill them, but he forced them to get naked and walk back to Albine, which I guess they did. I don't know. I was having a hard time putting the pieces of that puzzle together. So within the next year, I'm just going to kind of abridge the version because there's so much shit that went down. And we do have to record 2 episodes today. So we're in a bit of a time crunch. So at least 5 more. He had 5 more gunfights, killing 4 more men and wounding 4 more additionally. So in 1872, this is, you know how old he is now? He's 18. All of this has happened. Yeah.
I was like 32.
Nope. 1872. He is 18 years old and he marries a woman named Jane Bowen.
Oh, Jane.
Yeah. So on August 7th, 1872, Wes was wounded for the first time by a shotgun blast in a gambling dispute. And he was shot by this dude who he owed money for, and there were 2 buckshot pellets that penetrated Wes's kidney, and it honestly looked like it would be the end for John Weseley Hardin. But it wasn't. So he recuperated for his wounds, and while he was like, you know what, I'm going to settle down. So Wes made a sickbed surrender to authorities because he thought he was dying, and he handed over all his guns to a sheriff, and he asked to be tried. He asked to be tried for all his past crimes in order to, quote, clear his slate, end quote. However, when Wes learned of how many fucking murders the sheriff was going to charge him, he changed his mind. He was like, you know what, maybe I don't want to.
Maybe I'm just joking.
But you can't fucking do that, bitch. So by the time he had changed his mind, he was already in jail. So one of his cousins fucking snuck him a hacksaw. He cut through the bars of the prison and he escaped. And in November 1872, Wes was a wanted man yet again with $100 reward for his arrest. Okay, so then we get to his 21st birthday. He's in Florida by this point.
21!
Yeah, he killed some other men in between then. I suggest you read the book. And yeah, did I mention he wasn't 21 yet when all this shit went down? So he turns 21. Tana turns 21 on MTV. Go ahead and tune in. Hashtag not sponsored. Don't watch that fucking show. It's absolute garbage, Tana Mongoose. Your brain. Don't do it. So he turns 21, invites a sheriff named Sheriff Webb to drink with him in a hotel. And he fucking puts a bullet in the sheriff's head and blood sprayed on him like fucking birthday confetti.
Oh, fuck.
So as a result, there was a lynch mob out to get him. Wes's parents and wife were actually in protective custody while his brothers and cousins were arrested. Eventually, a group of men actually broke into the jail and killed all of his brothers and cousins in 1874. So on January 20th, 1875, the Texas legislature authorized the governor at the time to offer a $4,000 reward. Back then, that's fucking big money for Wes's arrest. So an undercover Texas ranger actually intercepted a letter from that was actually going to Wes's father-in-law by his brother-in-law. So within this letter, it actually mentioned that Wes was hiding out in Alabama/Florida, somewhere along the border, and he was using the name James W. Swain.
Florida, Bama Shore.
Right. So it took them 2 more years. But on August 24th, 1877, rangers and local authorities confronted Wes on a train in Pensacola, Florida. He attempted to draw a .44 Colt cap and ball pistol, but it got caught in his suspenders, and when it did, the officers pistol whipped him and knocked him out and arrested him. So John Weseley Hardin was tried for the murder of Sheriff Webb, which was the guy he killed on his 21st birthday. So on June 5th, 1878, he was sentenced to serve, do you want to guess?
2.
No, 25.
Oh, 25 to life.
So they were only charging him for the murder of Sheriff Webb, and he was sentenced to 25 years. So in 1879, Wes and 50 other convicts were stopped within hours of successfully tunneling through the prison. They were all trying to fucking escape. They got stopped. Naturally, he tried to escape many other times. He always tries
to get out.
Right? What are you going to do? He's a convict, baby. So during his prison term on Valentine's Day, February 14th, 1892, he was convicted of another blah. Basically, he got charged for another murder he did on somebody, and he was sentenced to, oh, you did guess it, 2 years.
Yes.
In addition to his 25-year sentence. Well, he adapted to the prison life very well. He read theological books. He became a superintendent of the prison Sunday school, and he studied law, bitch. However, Wes was plagued by poor health because remember when he got shot by the bullets, when he got shot in the kidney, Well, that actually ended up catching up to him, and he was bedridden for 2 years. And while he was in prison, his first wife, Jane, died on November 6th, 1892. And this is the time when he was in prison when he actually wrote the autobiography that I read. So again, it's controversial. People think it's wildly exaggerated, which I totally would agree with, because back then, who's going to know how many fucking people he killed? However, Wikipedia did do a good job of going back to see what was documented and what was not. So I'm trying to give you the facts, and it is what it is.
And these are it.
Right. So Wes was released from prison on February 17th, 1894, having served only 17 years of his 25-year sentence, plus the 2 years. He was 40 years old, and he returned to Gonzales, Texas. On July 21st, he passed the state bar examination and obtained his license to practice law.
Wow.
Bitch became a lawyer.
Yikes.
He was an outlaw and became a lawyer.
Yikes.
Okay. So according to a newspaper article in 1900, after becoming a lawyer, Wes committed a homicide when he had a $5 bet that he would knock a Mexican man off of a soapbox that the man was standing on while he got his fucking $5, because he shot the box. The man fell off and the man died. Yeah, from hitting the ground, not the gunshot.
I'm an outlaw.
Right. You can't take the outlaw out of me, baby. So on January 9th, 1895, Wes married a 15-year-old girl. He's like almost 50 now.
Oh, no, sir.
Her name was Callie Lewis.
No, girl.
You know what they say. Ain't nothing great about statutory rape. So the marriage ended quickly, though legally it was never dissolved. So they were technically married for the rest of their lives.
Oh, no.
Afterwards, Wes moved back to El Paso. This is when, there was a lawman. His name was John Selman Jr., and he arrested Wes's friend and part-time sex worker, M. Rose, or better known as Morose. So that was because the sex worker was brandishing a gun in public. So Wes confronted Selman, and the two men argued, obviously. So Selman was like, I don't like you very much. I'm going to get my daddy.
Daddy.
Selman's 56-year-old father, Constable John Selman Sr., who was also a notable, right? He was a notable former outlaw, approached Wes on the afternoon of August 19th, 1895. The two men obviously exchanged heated words. That night, Wes was at the Acme Saloon, where he began playing dice, and shortly before midnight, Selman Sr. entered the room, walked up to Wes from behind, shot him in the head, killing him instantly.
And
that's where our story ends, as John Weseley Hardin lay on the floor. Selman Sr. fired 3 more shots into his face.
He said, here's for the other people.
And Selman Sr. was arrested for the murder, and he stood trial. He claimed self-defense, blah, blah. Essentially, the dude who murdered John Weseley Hardin was about to go to jail, but before he did, he himself got murdered for an argument over a card game of Crazy Eights.
Stop.
It probably wasn't Crazy Eights. I just thought that'd be really silly. But he did die in an argument over a card game.
I'm annoyed over it.
So John Weseley Hardin was buried the following day in El Paso. And that is the life of the outlaw, John Weseley Hardin. What do you think?
Wow.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. He killed a lot of people.
He killed a lot of people and lied.
I'm telling you, I cut out a lot of stuff, y'all. I didn't even get to how many. Yeah. And it was essentially like in his early 20s. Yeah. So that's my story. I don't really know what else.
Sticking to it.
I think there's kind of an argument to be had that, yes, he was a shitty person, but he also, I think he was a product kind of his environment because of the whole Union and Confederate state. Of him. Well, I don't even think, he was close with his mom. His dad was like a little overbearing, but
yeah, but they were the same way.
But when I say he was a product of his surroundings, I mean the way that the United States was at the time, how it was divided, not necessarily his family life.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong, but just a thought there. So I'm going to stop talking. I hope you enjoyed very much. Yee.
Let's jump into this next story. This next story is about a cowboy, baby, but he had a lot to do with the Mexican Revolution, so this is very political. A lot of names are named, so like,
okay, keep
try
track.
your best to like keep up.
Okay, if I have any questions, I'm gonna raise my hand.
Okay.
Perfect.
Or just don't speak. Anyway.
Oh, okay, Gwen Stefani.
So.
No, just what you'll say. See how we flip the script
Oh,
now?
look
You're
at
trying
that.
to be
oh my
serious.
God. Oh.
I love you. You little bitch.
Born on June 5th, 1878 as Doroteo Arango Arámbula. This is the future Francisco Pancho Villa. So the guy I'm doing, his name is Pancho Villa.
Oh, okay, I love
Have
that.
you ever heard of him?
I have not.
Okay. Pancho Villa was the son of a very poor family living in San Juan del Rio. As a child, he received some education from a local church-run school, but became a sharecropper when his father passed away. At the age of 16...
What's a sharecropper?
I have no idea.
Perfect. Oh my God, wait, she just took a cowboy picture.
Wow,
I love that.
cowboy baby.
Okay, continue, sorry.
So, at the age of 16, he moved to a city that I can't pronounce, but swiftly returned after his sister was raped by a local hacienda owner.
Oh.
After tracking down the owner, his name was Augustine Nagrete, Villa shot him and stole a horse before fleeing to the Sierra Madre Mountains. He fled but was caught and imprisoned.
Where
Villa
is this
escaped-
at? I'm sorry.
Where is it?
Yeah. Is this in Mexico?
Yeah.
Okay.
Villa escaped again and later became a bandit. Although the specifics of what occurred in Villa's life during this time are unknown, it's definitely confirmed that he changed his name while on the run to avoid getting caught by authorities. In the late 1890s, he worked as a miner in that city that I can't pronounce, in addition to selling stolen cattle.
Okay, so he's like in his 20s now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While
No,
living,
probably before. Because
so
this is 1890. If it's in 1890, he's probably like 17 or 18.
yeah, he's
Damn, why were the bandits like so young?
right. Well, he didn't have a family, so I feel like he got off the path.
I get it.
I don't think he did a lot of bad stuff.
Why? I don't know the story.
Well,
I just know what John Weseley Hardin did, and it wasn't anything good.
You're right.
He's like, this is my cousin Shrimp Dick in his KKK hat.
Right. Well, like I said, this guy had a lot to do with the Mexican Revolution. He was
Right,
very
you did
political.
say that.
He did have like a lot to do with all the like wars that went on there.
Okay.
So let's jump into that.
Okay.
While living as a fugitive, Villa joined Francisco Madero's successful uprising against the Mexican dictator Porfirio Diaz. The local representative for Francisco was a politician who was opposed to the rule of the dictator Diaz. Madero convinced Villa that bad behavior and banditry, he could fight for the people and hurt the hacienda owners. And you remember, his sister got raped by a hacienda owner, so he wanted revenge. In 1910, the Mexican Revolution began with Madero's pre-democratic volunteers confronting Diaz's federal troops. As the revolution spread, Villa joined the Madero forces and aided in winning the first battle of Ciudad in 1911. Because of his skills as a fighter and a leader, he was made a colonial. After rebellion removed Madero from power in 1912, Villa was almost executed for his efforts to defend the former government. He fled to the United States for a time, but later returned to Mexico and formed his own military force known as División del Norte. So that means the Division of the North.
Okay.
He joined forces with other revolutionaries, such as Carranza and Zapata, to overthrow this guy, Hurito. Remember those names, they'll come up again.
Okay. Very easy to remember.
Yeah.
Just your common names.
The different forces were not successful at working together, and Villa and Carranza became rivals. For a number of years, he was involved in a series of clashes with other Mexican military groups and even fought the U.S. troops from 1916 to 1917. I'll get into that.
Okay.
In 1920, Villa reached an agreement with this Huerta guy. He was a Mexican leader at the time, which pardoned him for his banditry actions in return for Villa to put an end to his independent military activities. Now, this is another revolution that he was involved in.
Okay.
I promise it gets better.
No, I'm listening.
So that Diaz guy that I was talking about, he's gone. Madero assumes presidency at this time. His rule was immediately challenged by this guy, Pascual. He was a revolutionary who worked with Madero and felt scorned by his position under Madero's reign in 1912. So Villa swiftly offered his group to help fight this.
Right, the new president is?
Yeah.
Okay.
He wanted to fight this Pascal guy.
Okay.
So this Huerta guy and Villa, they wanted to protect Madero and his newfound authority, but after Huerta accused Villa of stealing his horse, Villa's execution was ordered. Madero was
for stealing his horse?
Yeah.
Oh.
They just didn't like him, basically.
Okay.
They were haters. Madero was able to grant Villa a reprieve shortly before his execution, but he was still required to serve some time in prison in June 1912.
Did he successfully steal the horse, or was this for an attempt?
No, he did.
Okay. Oh, okay.
After a brief turn in captivity, Villa managed to escape. Huerta, meanwhile, crashed this Pascal guy and conspired to murder Madero. So he ended up killing Madero, so then that made this Huerta guy a provisional president, which means, like, back then it was weird. You can kill someone and be like, okay, yeah, I'm president now.
Also, I have to admit my ignorance to Mexican history. I really don't have much knowledge of.
It's a lot.
Of any of this. So you could literally be lying to me, and I'm like, okay.
Okay.
Well, I just have to say, because I know people are listening who probably have knowledge of Mexican history. So I don't. I'm just sorry. You're teaching me. School me, baby.
I don't know why I did that.
I don't know why you did either.
I don't know. Sometimes
See
I
me
just
after
do
class.
Shit. So in response to this, Huerta guy taking over for Madero, Villa was on Madero's side. Villa allied with Carranza to make Carranza the president. Villa was operating in conjunction with Carranza's Constitutionalist Army of Mexico. He operated the northern part of it, because remember, he had a group, and it was called Soldiers of the North. In March 1913, the fight became personal for Villa when Huerta ordered the murder of his friend Abraham Gonzalez. Villa built a force of volunteers and other people, and Villa quickly won a string of victories in Ciudad and then other cities that I cannot pronounce.
Okay. Also, y'all, if you know how to pronounce these cities, please don't give us any flack, because
I'm so sorry. I feel like it's more disrespectful to butcher it than to...
You think it's more disrespectful to butcher it?
Yeah, because I don't know it.
No, I know, but that's okay, because we're not like doing it on purpose. And I'm sure we're going to get people emailing us how to say it right.
That's great. During this time, his stature had grown to the point of the U.S. Army inviting him to meet its senior leaders, including General John Pershing at Fort Bliss, Texas. I'll get to him.
Oh, okay. So he's a hotshot now.
Yeah. The fact that the majority of Villa's battles were on the northern border of Mexico brought the revolutionary to the spotlight in terms of photographs and stories covering the events in Mexico. And surprisingly, the bandit who once hid his presence and changed his name to avoid attention loved being photographed.
Oh, look at that.
He even signed a contract with Hollywood's Mutual Film Company in 1913 and had several of his battles filmed, which I don't really know how they did that.
In 1913?
Also, aren't they battling with guns?
Well, that's the noise I make when I'm not sure what to say.
Okay, well, the U.S. supported Villa in more ways than simply behind a lens. After numerous battles that occurred, Carranza rose to power in 1914. So the guy that he wanted to won. So Villa returned to Mexico. He gathered supplies for a drive south. He was utilizing railroads, and Villa's men attacked quickly and won battles against Huerta's forces. Okay, so basically, Carranza and Villa, they had a falling out, and now Villa no longer likes this Carranza character. So, basically, Carranza, who was concerned that Villa might beat him back to Mexico City, ordered him to divert his attacks. Basically, he offered him a deal, and Villa was like, yeah, I'll take it, but lied because Villa just needed fuel for his trains to get back to Mexico before Carranza did.
Oh, so he's a liar.
Right. So to defy Carranza, Villa attacked these mountains in
He attacked the mountains.
Zacatecas.
He attacked who?
The mountains. Like the people in the mountains.
Oh, okay.
As like a way to get back at this guy.
Oh.
These mountains were heavily defended by federal troops, so they were like situated there trying to protect that place. and Villa's men, they won a bloody victory with casualties numbering over 7,000 dead and 5,000 wounded.
Yipes.
So now these mountains are now owned by Villa. Like, that's how it works. So basically, with that being said, Carranza had to leave that place, and he was disposed as president. But following his departure, Villa occupied that mountain. But in 1915, he was forced to abandon Mexico City after a number of incidents involving his troops. This helped pave the way for the return of Carranza and his followers. So now that guy is back that he didn't like and he had a falling out with. So after he was restoring power, Villa revolted against him again. So to combat Villa, this guy Carranza sent this general to the north to battle him out one last time. And this was called the Battle of the Celaya, and it was held on April 13th, 1915. Villa was badly defeated in this one. He had 4,000 killed and 6,000 captured.
Jesus.
Yeah. And then Villa also had a problem with the U.S. because the U.S. refused to sell him weapons. So now he's just pissed at everyone. So for a short time, this Villa character was working with President Woodrow Wilson.
Oh.
And because they refused his weapons and he lost, he got super pissed. So because Woodrow Wilson withdrew his support of Villa, Villa kidnapped and killed 18 Americans in January 1916.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what he's been doing. We see that as like, oh shit,
right.
attacking us, but that's kind of what he's been doing over in Mexico.
Right. So months later, on March 9th, 1916, Villa led several rebels in a raid of Columbus, New Mexico, where they ravaged a small town and killed 19 additional people. Villa was feeling betrayed by the Americans for not giving them weapons, and Villa ordered a raid across the border to strike at Columbus. So he attacked on March 9th. He killed the town and looted military supplies because he was like, I'm going to get these either way.
Right.
So Villa's last major military action was a raid against Ciudad. Again, in 1919, the following year, he negotiated his peaceful retirement with the new president, Huerta. He's retiring to the hacienda of El Cuantillo, but on July 20th, 1923, while running an errand in the town of Parral, Villa's car was ambushed and he was shot 40 times. There was a rumor that Villa was considered a run for presidency of Mexico in 1924, and certain fractions wanted him stopped. Based on his violent history, Villa had plenty of enemies with countless reasons to see him dead.
Sounds like it.
The story doesn't stop there.
Oh, God.
The initial suspect was a man named Salas Barraza, who recently been released from prison for his involvement in Villa's assassination. Barraza's sister had been kidnapped by Villa's army and left to die in the desert. However, he had been closely watched since his release from prison. Authorities were sure he was not the perpetrator, so they investigated a rumor that linked a governor and Mexican general with the secret society from a university in the United States, which had offered a significant award for the head of Pancho Villa.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. After that, the focus of the investigation shifted to a local American who might have had an opportunity to make off with the skull. Early on February 6, 1926, a graveyard caretaker, Juan Amparain, was patrolling the grounds of the municipal cemetery in the town of Parral, Mexico, when he discovered something that shocked the entire nation of Mexico. The grave of Pancho Villa had been dug up. Pancho Villa's coffin had been dug up during the night, and his body was mutilated. The caretaker of the grave was reluctant to report the dug-up grave to municipal authorities because Villa's body had been decapitated and the head was missing. None of the gates to the cemetery were damaged, which led authorities to believe that the perpetrator who did this climbed the small wall surrounding the graveyard.
Yeah, I was gonna say probably just hop the fence.
Yeah. In his statement, the graveyard caretaker reported that Villa's body had been in the grave for 3 years and nothing unusual ever happened. However, when he returned to the graveyard after making the report, he discovered that the grave had been ransacked.
Can we talk about how difficult that has to be? Because you have to dig and then you have to pull it up out of the dirt.
Right? Well, not only that, like, his body was ransacked. Like, they took, like, pieces of his remains and pieces of his grave.
Right. But to even get to that part, you have to dig. That's a lot.
Right.
Maybe I'm just too lazy. Count me out. If anybody is trying to, like, rob a grave, count me out.
The suspect was Iowa-born Swedish-American named Emil Lewis, who had joined the U.S. Army search for Pancho Villa after the raid on Columbus, New Mexico in 1960. Y'all remember that? Probably not, because I told it fast. It's okay. Emil Lewis, he was born August 26, 1883. He died in 1963. Anyway, he was a treasure hunter. He was also a spy. He was a mess. Emil Lewis had been in Parral area hunting for rumored treasure buried by Villa somewhere in the Sierra Madre. Emil Lewis was arrested the day after the grave was dug up. His belongings and his hotel room were examined, but no decapitated head was found. The American had been picked up for questioning on the day after the event, which gave him sufficient time to dispose of Villa's head. During his arrest and questioning, Emil Lewis claimed he had spent most of his time at this club that Villa also spent his time in, which was confirmed by witnesses. But they couldn't really find anything that he had the head, so he was released and he left.
Okay.
In 1955, there was an author who wrote a autobiography on this.
Well, it wouldn't have been an autobiography. It would have been a biography.
Yeah. Oh, biography. It says that. I put auto in there.
Because that would be if he wrote it about himself.
Yeah, so this, I don't know if it's a man or woman. They
Perfect.
wrote a biography about Pancho Villa's life. It's called Cock of Walk.
Okay. First off, Pancho.
Okay.
You called him Pancho.
I did.
Yeah.
Pancho.
Anyway,
in this book, it states that someone received a letter from an L.M. Shadbolt, which described an encounter with that Lewis guy in El Paso Hotel in 1927. According to the letter, this guy states that he had been drinking heavily and met this Lewis guy in the hotel bar. He says that he permanently moved into the hotel after he left Parral. After a few days of drinking, he was invited back to the Lewis's guy's room to show the head of Pancho Villa.
Did he have it?
It's just the story.
The story
it's just
of
the story that,
right.
like, it's like alleged.
I want to know.
But anyway, this Lewis guy told him that he was being paid for the skull by a buyer in the United States.
Allegedly.
Yeah, it's just alleged. And that's the story of Pancho Villa. I did not do you justice, Pancho. I'm sorry.
We don't know who stole his head.
No.
Oh, what a mystery for the times. Sorry for sounding ignorant. I really had no idea, like, any of that. I'm not brushed up on any of that mystery. You know how yeehaw, I want to be a cowboy, baby.
It's always yeehaw and never how ye.
Oh, fuck. We are going to take a quiz, but before we do, everybody's pulling it up. I think Trashy might be joining us for this. I just want to say, if you haven't already, we already said it, but please head on over to wherever you are subscribed to us. Head on over to...
You're going to head over to iTunes and search Esoteric Oddities and smash that like button. Give us 5 stars. Write a review. Spell my name wrong. And tell us how much you love us.
Yes. Thank you. Again, it's not for our airheadedness. It's not for us to feel great about ourselves. It just really helps us out. It helps.
And we're just like really sarcastic people. So like, I'm just being sarcastic.
But also, please go fucking help us out by giving us a 5-star in a review. And thank you to those who have. Okay, are you ready? This is
then tell us how much you love us at
What are you trying to say?
odditiespodcast@gmail.com.
Yes, perfect. So this is what is your cowboy name? So
are you a male or female?
Are you a male or female?
I'm not telling you.
I'm not telling you female or male.
What is the state in the Midwest you would mostly like to visit? Indiana, Ohio, South Dakota,
Pennsylvania,
Michigan.
I'm sorry.
None of them are like that great, but I guess probably Indiana because it's like the furthest.
All right. Pick a pair of cowboy boots, bitch.
So we have got a brown pair that look like flames coming from the bottom. We've got a teal pair, or would you say that is like an aquamarine?
Aquamarine.
Then we've got a pink pair, and then we've got a brown pair with a darker brown, but the brown is kind of orange. I'm gonna do the flames. What are you ladies doing?
I'm doing the pink boots.
Did you do the pink ones? Teal, I love that. Sarah? Oh, this we have to describe.
Fat.
Pick a saloon, and it's just 4 pictures of saloons.
Fuck. Well, we got the first one. It's like a chestnut looking saloon. We got some cowboys in there.
They all look the same to me, except for the one with the fucking motorcycles in the back. I'm gonna pick the one that's got the antler chandelier.
I love that. I'm gonna pick this chestnut one. It's a moment.
Love it. So the next is pick a drink. We've got a beer. We have got a whiskey sour. We've got what looks to be a whiskey ginger, maybe, and then we've got a girly-ish drink, which I'm not quite sure what it is, but there's a cucumber on the side, and it's red and purple. I'm gonna pick the whiskey ginger.
All right, this is my favorite one. I can't believe I got this. Pick a cowboy accessory. Assless chaps, a fucking rope, a belt to hold your gun, and a cowboy hat.
It's a holster, baby. It's a holster.
You know I'm picking that fucking assless chaps.
I'm picking the cowboy hat. What are you picking, Tracy?
The gun.
Okay.
Where's the gun?
Pick your trusty steed. So we've got a giraffe. We have got, oh my God, a Saint Bernard. We've got what looks to be a giant insect, or we've got a horse. I'm going to go conventional and pick the horse.
Why didn't you say that there was a zebra on top of the giraffe?
Oh, I don't know why I didn't mention that. It just seemed like a lot.
You better believe I picked the Saint Bernard.
I love that for you.
You better not edit that out.
Not going to. All right, your turn. Oh my God, Sarah, I'm done.
All right, which nickname best describes you? Sweet Tooth, Miss Vinegar, Twinkle Lips, Droopy, Snugglebug, Bootless Toothless, Cow Punching Son of a Bitch, or Awful Bad.
Pick Droopy.
Oh my God.
Should I pick Twinkle Lips?
Yeah, I feel like cow punching, like I'm a vegetarian, but I think that's funny.
Do it.
No, I'm going to pick Awful Bad.
Oh, fuck.
No.
Okay.
No, should I not pick that?
No, I'm saying no to what I got.
Wow, what?
I got Pokey Droopy McGrub. Your Pokey Droopy McGrub, wanted in 3 states and 2 territories for being loud, rude, and dirty behind the ears.
That makes sense. She doesn't shower.
I'm fucking done, you nasty bitch. All right, what'd you got?
My roommate now does not mean you can tell people how often I don't shower.
Oh, fuck. I mean, I'm lying. It's a joke.
Okay.
She showers 5 times a day.
What did you get, Sarah?
Lunacia, Miss Vinegar, McDreamy. Your Lunacia, Miss Vinegar, McDreamy. She brought order to Nevada with an iron skillet, unconventional recipes, and a pair of brass knuckles.
That's you, though.
Okay.
Mine is Gummy Chuck Cow Punching Huggles. I'm wanted for biting a bulldog and shaving a horse.
Literally, though.
If the horse is my cock. I'm just kidding. You have a tweet of the week and a fun fact?
I sure do.
What you got for me?
My fun fact is the only Blockbuster store in the world that is still open is in Bend, Oregon. Oregon.
Oh, we got DMs about that, how we were saying that. Sorry, y'all. Also, we got a text message from my mom. So my fun fact is more than 2,500 left-handed people are killed every year from using equipment meant for right-handed people. So my tweet of the week, I actually don't really have a tweet of the week. I just kind of wanted to shout out my favorite Twitter account. And I noticed a lot of people I'm following aren't following them. And it is @bodegacats_. And it's literally just pictures people send them of cats that are chilling inside of bodegas. And I think everybody should. There's a video of literally a cat sleeping on top of an ATM. Yeah. And it is amazing.
My tweet of the week is from @Brocahontas. It's a text of her going back and forth, and they said, "You probably drink Truly." She said, "It was one time. The claws weren't cold."
At me next time.
Literally.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Well, you heard it here first. Thank you guys for having a yippee-ki-yow good time with us.
Thank you.
We already said fucking rate all that
We
shit.
did.
That is the sound of Trashy's ass clapping. And if
Let's
you want to
go.
hear more of her ass clapping and some bonus content, that is patreon.com/esoteric oddities. And until next time, y'all, stay fresh, stay clean.
And clean behind your ears.
Clean behind your ears, you fucking nasty bitch over there.
Bye. I said she showers 5 times a day.
And we're backpedaling. Bye, guys.